So Jivan has been in this industry for over 5 years now, gaining knowledge and cultivating experiences from different type of languages and code and domain and workspace. So he'll be giving this session, and any questions that you feel in between, please feel free to send that to us via chat. We will not be entertaining any questions in between, but our speaker will, of course, address uh, as much as possible at the end of this session. So you can send messages, send your questions in the chat to any of us hosts. So without any further ado, let's welcome our speaker for today, Mr. Jivan Dhakal. Jivan sir, over to you.
Thank you, Shrutiji, for awesome introduction. Hello, good afternoon, namaste, and good morning, whoever is joining us from out of Nepal. So I'm Jivan Nakal, today's speaker. I am a web developer. It's been around 5+ years for me working in this field, especially in Laravel. So currently I'm working at Proshore as a senior web developer. It's been around 2 years for me here at Proshore. So thank you, Proso, for giving me the floor to share my experiences with awesome people around here. So I can already see almost 60% of us are working with Laravel regularly. So 33% of us have just basic experience and 7% knows Laravel very well. And they are working with Laravel for 5 and more years. So I hope this session will be fruitful for every one of us, no matter how experienced you are, no matter if you are beginner or experienced. Uh, you must learn, you must know how we can write code, how we can make the code maintainable. So this session is all about how we can do that, how we can achieve that. I will be sharing my experience. I will be sharing what I know about clean code. Let me share my screen. I hope my screen is visible for you all. So we are going to discuss how we can write clean and maintainable code. So today, at the end of the session, we will be also seeing some examples, but this example will be of Laravel code itself. However, before that, it's not mandatory. It doesn't matter which language you are using, which language you are writing code. Every, on every sector, we need to write code which is perfectly maintainable. So how do you measure, as a developer, how do you measure if your code quality is good or not? So after writing code, there will be a code reviewer, right? There will be a code reviewer who is going to review your code. So how many time your code reviewer is going to use WTF word after seeing or after going through your code? So the lesser number of WTF, the better your code is. So we need to make sure your code is so elegant that he will he will entertain himself after reading, after going through your code, right? So let's try to decrease the number of WTFs from others. So what actually is clean code? Lots of questions may arise about clean code. Does it work? Is it easy to understand? Does it have explanatory comments? Does it scale? Is it clever? Is it short? So these are all the questions that may arise in our mind. But what actually is clean code? Clean code is a piece of code which is readable, not just for you, not just for your colleague, not just for the people who are around you. Imagine a situation you are reading your code after 1 year. Will you scold yourself? I have done that lots of time. I've scolded myself. What did I write that time? I was not able to read my code itself. And can your colleague read your code easily? If yes, then your code is readable. And readable is must have feature for a code to be clean. And is it maintainable? For example, how easily can you fix the bugs? How easily can you adapt with the situation and add new functionalities on your code? Not only for you, how easy is it to for your colleagues or for any other developers to maintain your code? So we need to make sure our code is properly readable and maintainable. Another thing is testable. Are you really performing unit tests on your code? Is every functionality inside your code is perfectly testable or not? Now the thing elegant, how simple is the code that you just wrote? Are you over engineering things? Currently we have lots of frameworks which has done great work to make us feel like uh, to make us feel we are writing very user friendly language. Are you overcomplicating the framework itself? If you are doing that, your code is not clean. So these are the four must have character for a code to be clean. Having said that, all of these qualities are subjective, because for my team, if one piece of code is readable, that may not be readable for another person. So it is, everything is subjective. You can decide within your team, you can decide within your group of people, but make sure you yourself will entertain your code later. So why do we care clean code? Now we know about clean code, we know the characteristics of clean code. So why do we care? Why do we need it? There is no such things as write once code. Trust me, in this career, it's been already 5+ year for me. I have done lots of things. I developed lots of e-commerces. I was given opportunity to develop one of the government websites on Nepal. There is no such project that I can say now it is handed over, so I don't need to do any more codes on this project. There is no such code, because there will be bug fixes for sure. You cannot oversee the bugs. There will be business changes, there will be enhancement, because sometimes client himself doesn't know what actually they want, and there will be new functionalities. So in order to maintain code, in order to adapt with the situation, we must write clean code. Then what is preventing us? We all know, we all write code, we all know we need clean code, but there is one thing common that is preventing us. I'll do it later. I think almost 80% of us does this. Trust me, that later is never gonna come. You are just giving excuse to yourself. Other possible reasons: trying to go fast. For example, you are doing one feature and it's 5 p.m. already, and your girlfriend is calling you. Come on, let's meet, let's catch up. So you are trying to go fast. For that reason, you just wrote your code whatever, however you want. Job security. Some people may think if I write good code, they will hire someone who can easily understand your code, and they will give this opportunity to another person. But if you write code in such a way that it will be harder for other to uh, get started with your code, you are secure there. Maybe this is the one of the reason. Having no time, you can relate first point and third point. Wanted to get rid. For example, if you are given the same task again and again and again, you will be it will be monotonous for you. So you want to get rid of that particular feature and switch to another one, which will be interesting for you, so that you will just write code, just you will just end up making dirty just to get rid of that code. And bosses are always angry because they want the feature, they want to grow the product, so they will keep on giving pressure. So under pressure, we as a developer will end up writing bad code. Sorry. And next, lazy colleagues, maybe one of the reasons, and stubbornness. Um, Maybe sometimes some people may think, if I have written the code, this is my very last version. There is no way you can change the code. then your code may end up being very dirty. So how we can write clean code then? Imagine the situation. Imagine a guy who end up maintaining your code will be a psychopath who actually knows where you live. Have you ever scolded anyone for the bad codes? Have you ever worked on legacy code? I have done that. I have worked on 2 or 3 legacy code where I used to scold the previous developer dozens time a day. So I don't think any of us enjoy being scolded just because of the code we write. So make sure you're not being scolded by any other developers in the near future. So we will be touching some of the topics today, how actually we can write clean code. At the end of the session, I cannot guarantee you will be writing perfectly clean code, but at least you can get started with the clean codes and its principles. So first one is dry. If you just copy and paste code from the internet or chat gpt or AI tools anywhere or stack overflow, you will end up with spaghetti codes. You will not understand. You will just copy and paste. If it works, it works. You should not do that. Do not repeat yourself. Functions in the clean code should only do one thing within overall system. If you are performing any specific jobs multiple time within one system, then it must be centralized somewhere so that it will be reused again and again whenever needed. And its opposite is wet. If you enjoy typing, then it's totally up to you if you want to make it wet or dry. So here is an example. This code looks good, but is it really good? I have created two controllers. One is user controller, one another is user API controller, and two controllers are doing exactly same thing. They are creating user, right? So there is, for now, there is no such logics before creating code. But imagine a situation there are 2 or 3 logics after creating user. If you need to send mail, or before creating user, if you have to upload the image of their avatar and all. So if you are repeating code like this, and if you need to add any of the feature, you need to go through every controller, you need to remember every controllers, and you need to change everything there. So this is not example of dry code. This is very wet. You are enjoying typing here. What you can do here is you can just create a service which will be centralized somewhere, and user creation will be handled. All the logics before and after user creation will be handled by the service, and from controller you will simply call the service function, and you can proudly say that that piece of code is dry. Next is kish. Not a type of Valentine kiss, but kiss in clean code principle is keep it simple, stupid. Make it elegant. Elegant is one of the characteristics of clean code. So keep it very simple. There are two people who are going to judge how elegant your code is. One, you, and another, that psychopath, or maybe your colleagues. If they can read it properly, if they think you have done it in a simple way, then your code is clean. Keep it very simple. Don't over engineer things. Another is Yagni. You are not gonna need it. Just delete everything that is not needed right now, because you're not gonna need it simply. And this principle is closely tied to agile methodology. You need to inspect if that particular feature is really needed on a system or not. If not, then just don't adapt it. First, inspect the market. If it's really needed, if business is really demanding that feature, then only write the code. Just don't write just because you know it. Take small steps to react to the problem individually and dynamically when needed. When needed is the term. Naming conventions. This is, I think, one of us. um, was discussing before the session about naming convention, I know for developer like us, this is one of the most hardest decision. So name must be meaningful, meaningful names. So here in example, there is $a equals to John. What if I write $a equals to Proshore? What if I write $a equals to PSP? What does $a mean? I cannot say it by saying $a equals to John, right? But if I write it like employee name equals to John, I can now say, okay, this variable expects some first name of employee or full name of employee. So name must be meaningful. Next is avoid mental mapping. Just if you can think one way, don't think another developer can think the same way. For example, here is a I am creating object of form class. MF equals to new form. What does that MF mean? I will think a different way. So what actually is that word? So okay, now I can say, okay, this object was for monitoring form. Monitoring form equals to new form. So avoid mental mapping. So use verbs for method or function. For example, if you are doing something, just use verbs, saving orders, calculating discounts, fetching active users. These are actions which we want system to do. So we must use verbs so that it will be easier to understand. Next, variable names must be pronounceable. Can you pronounce this? RECDPTRL. What does that mean? I cannot pronounce. Does it mean received patrol, record department role? I'm having hard time understanding what the variable actually is. So make it pronounceable so that everyone else will know what this variable is about. And how do we name our variables or functions? Are there any standards? Yes, there are. There are. One is camel case. I think most of us have already heard about it. Pascal case, lowercase with underscore, that is snake case as well. So which one should you use? It doesn't matter. Just have a standard, choose one of them, whichever you are comfortable with, and be consistent within your team, within a project. Another thing is comment. First rule of comment is comments lie. Comment doesn't give proper valid scenario all the time. For example, if the code is updated or moved, you are in rush, you all you went the you went into one of the function, you changed the code, but you suppose you have no time to work on your comments, then your comment is already lying. For example, here in this example, you can say the basmati rice is no more there, right? So the comment is already lying there. Next, comment do not make up for bad code. If you think you are writing code which won't be understandable for others, if you feel so, don't try to make up it with comments. Rewrite the code. If it's not clear, again rewrite the code. Just don't comment. Don't make excuses writing comments. Where can we use comments then? It can be used to describe intent or clarification. For example, if one of your function is returning date, you can specify the date format. This format will be returned by this function or this method. Another, you can give warnings. If some of the function is closely tied to another one, then you can give warnings or consequences. For example, if you are changing this function, then please make sure you are not breaking this feature. But don't make excuses again. If you are really making, if you are really writing breakable code, rewrite the code. So we can use comments for to-dos. Nowadays, most of the IDEs are smart. For example, VS Code, PSP Storm, OB Storm, whatever you use. They support to do is smart in smart way. So we can use comment uh, for our future reference, but make sure these to-dos are temporary. So what are examples of bad comments? For example, you just wrote a code which is summing two numbers. For example, dollar sum equals to 1 plus 2, and then slash slash summing this up. I know we can read the code. Dollar sum is dollar sum equals to 2 plus 1. I can read it. Don't just comment. Um, there are lots of tools such as GitLab, GitHub, where you can go and check who did, what they did, and when it was done. Another thing, avoid noise. As a PHP developer, I know underscore double underscore construct is default constructor. You don't need to write default constructor to be over smart. This is a noise. The scary noise, the name. I know I can read it. The description, quantity of product, I can read it. This is way too scary, right? Do not comment output. If you think you will not need some piece of code for now, don't just comment it thinking you will you will need it in future. There are tools like GitHub, GitLab, where you can always go and retrieve the code whenever you want. Make your code elegant. Don't make it rubbish. Just remove the code because you're not going to need it. One of the principles we discussed. So another thing is control sentences. For example, if conditions, loops, avoid spaghetti code here. So don't go this level of nesting. In this example, I cannot read code properly. I cannot go this deep. I will get lost. If if you are performing some real logic inside for every condition and inside every loop, it will be messed up. It will be really hard for any of the developer to actually get into the code and understand the logic. So what we can do in such cases, we can use concepts like early returns, and we can collapse the brackets whenever possible. If if one condition is not matched, then just throw the negativity out first. let's get try to let's try to get rid of else conditions. If something else condition is for negative statement, right? If something is going wrong, then throw it away. This is the basic principle of early return. So collapse when possible. For functions and methods, keep the method short, should feed on single screen. I don't agree with my point, because I use 1.5 pixel line height. That doesn't mean another people must use my line height. So having said that, it must be short. So prefer method no longer than 20 lines. 20 lines is my minimum criteria that I set for myself. So if you are writing 100 lines of code inside one function, your minimum target should be 70 or 50 for the first time. So decide your number and start to work on it. And do one thing. A function should do only one thing. If your function, if you are writing public function create user, it must create user only. If you are returning all the users, let's say your function is fetch all users, it must fetch all users. It shouldn't email the client, it shouldn't do any other jobs. So another main important thing is refactoring, which is very important, because I know at some point of time we need to work on legacy codes. We cannot always get started with new code, new product, and new features. So there are already lots of projects which are legacy. So refactoring is the must. So what is refactoring? Making the piece of code better without changing the core functionality. While refactoring, we need to make sure every piece of code that we are refactoring is going through test cases properly. So doing that, we are making sure none of the functionalities are missed. So step two, safely and confidently update the code. Someone will be watching you for sure. You need to be confident while refactoring. We will see the example of refactoring. And yeah, at the end, I want to say, be a clean code advocate. Just try to try to teach other how you can write clean code, how you wrote clean code. Try to share experience wherever possible. So there is one rule, Boy Scout rule: always leave the campground cleaner than you found it. We cannot clean it all, but at least we can just carry one or two or three or four dusts and throw it in a bin, right? So try to be a clean code advocate. So let's write some codes. I have prepared a simple demo to show how we can refactor the code, um, without changing, without compromising any of the functionalities. We will see live example. Before that, if anyone has any question, feel free to ask.
If you have any questions right away, you can raise your hand and mm, ask the question, and then Jivan sir will address it. If not, I have not yet received any questions from any one of you
Excuse
in
me,
the
sir.
chat. Yeah,
Excuse me, sir.
Susan
Sir,
will
I have
invite.
one question.
Yeah,
Sir,
please.
should we need to write comments after every methods in the controller? Is it good?
If you think your controller is that bulky, what
Yeah.
I suggest is don't make it bulky. What you can do is, as a developer, what we try to do is, if there is a controller, for example, I have a method inside a controller, public function, fetch all users, and what we write is slash slash, this function will return all the users with active state, right? This is what we do. Is that
Yeah.
correct? Instead, what you can do is, you can just clear by method name itself. For example, you can name your method in such a way that it will be easier to understand for others what the function is actually doing. For example, fetch all active users. So it is already clear this function is going to fetch all the active users. So you can do in that way. Did
Sir.
did I answer your question well, or
Yes, sir.
are we still confused
Sir.
anymore? If there is no question, then I will be jumping on demo.
Hello, Dai.
Yes, brother.
As you said that in method, we need to just maintain our line of code to like from your preference to 20.
Uh-huh.
Like when a beginner or while we are coding the method, the lines of method code will get so long, no?
Mm-hmm.
How can we minimize the lines of code in the certain
We will
method or
see. We
function?
will see. We will see live example on this, brother. We will see
Oh,
live
okay.
example. I have already written a code which is 70 lines, and I will try to drop it to 3 or 4.
Okay. Thank you.
I will see that. Any more? All right. Let's directly jump into the code, and let's try to make Anus feel comfortable. Let me share my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
I shared wrong one. All right. So I think you're seeing my VS Code, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So I have created one project. This is very simple example of a project where you can add product, okay, where you can update product. So I will go through the code later. Let's first discuss what this project is actually doing. whenever you update your product, let's say I update this product, hello developers, I updated the name, I updated the price from 53,000 to 65,000, let's say. Let me update. What this update button is doing, what it's doing is, our product is now updated. There are two logs. System has created one product updated log. Hello developer, this product was updated by this 9 seconds ago. And I have price change log because I just changed the price as well. So I have price change log. Price of this product was changed by this 10 seconds ago. So I'm doing this lot of things. And at the same time, I'm sending product update email to one of the admins as well. This same function is doing lots of things. So I just got email a few seconds ago. Hello admin, the product test developer has been updated. Click here to view. Thank you. So we are doing 3 or 4 or 5 actions, right? So let's see the code how I did it. I think we all are familiar with resourceful controller of Laravel. So on the update method, what I am doing is I'm passing ID as a parameter, right? I have a route, resourceful routing products, where I'm using product controller. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to find the product. If the product is not there, I'm aborting it to 404 page, not found. I'm performing some serious validations. I'm also checking if the price was changed or not, just to store price log if price is changed, the original, and I'm storing original price as well for future reference. And I am updating all the detail of products, right? And if the price log is changed, then I stored price log. I created price log. Then I create one product log. And what I did is I fetched one of the admins from user where role equals to admin, the first one. If the admin really exists, then I am sending email to the admin. So this all things I'm doing inside one function, which I don't think which I think is not good. So I have already done refactor. I will just switch the branch. So here you can see another branch. I've done 3 lines of codes only. Everything I just went through is being handled by 3 lines. Can you guess how? You can just unmute yourself and guess how I did.
I think because, sir, you have defined middleware in the web.php. That's why you should not need to mention the role in this controller.
It's not only the role and middleware. Okay, I will go through everything that I did to refactor the code. I think this is what we wanted to see, how you can actually make your function shorter, how you can end up with 20 or 10 lines of code, right? So here, before going through code, I want to show you that the system is same. The system is doing the exactly same thing. For example, let me just stop the flow here so that uh, you will know this function is actually being used by this update function. So yeah, I was stopped here. So let the system flow. Let me update. Hello developer, updated. Let me set it to 3700, 67,000, update. So product is updated. Product is updated. The log is also created. Price log is also created, and mail is also there definitely. So how did I achieve this? Let me go through the code. Let me go through the code. So here, instead of using a parameter, instead of passing a parameter, Laravel is so beautiful that we can use route model binding. Resourceful resourceful routes of Laravel are already so good that we can implement route model bindings like easy as that. We can just specify which model to expect on this particular function, and it will give you the model, the populated model itself. You don't need to write extra queries, find the product by ID. For example, if you see here, you will see your product model, and it is loaded with the data you want. This is the beauty of route model binding. So doing this, I got rid of 5 lines or 6 lines of code. What I was doing is I was finding the product, I was checking if the product really exists or not. If product doesn't exist, then I was uh, returning user to 404 page. So I got rid of that code. So there was validation rule. Instead of normal request like Laravel, there is request, simple request class in Laravel. Instead of using this request, I used form request here. You can use this PHP artisan make request command to create any request. So what I did is I created product update request. So I wrote all the validations rule here. So validations are still there. If you want to see, while if I try to change the product without name, then the validation is still there. So all the validations are being handled by this this request itself. So we don't need to make our controller dirty. So everything is being handled by this. If and only if validation pass, then only the flow will go inside the control, inside the method. So here what I'm doing is I'm simply updating the product. Then how is this all this price log and products log are being handled? How are they being handled? So I used a concept called observers. So I created one of the observers, product observer. You can go to Laravel documentation. It there is they made it so clear. You can just go there and follow each and every steps, and you will good to go with observers. So I created one observers, which is product observer, and before booting the system, I asked system to observe this product model should observe this product observer class. So what actually happens is there are hooks updating, updated, created, creating. There are 6 or 7 predefined functions by Laravel. So this function will get triggered before you update any data, and this function will get triggered after this data is updated. So what you can do is you can just simply update, and Laravel out of the box will watch this, and you can simply write your code there. So doing this, we are making our code maintainable. For example, if there is any problem on price log, if there is any problem setting price log or product log, we don't need to go to controller. All we can do is we can go to observer. We know this price log is being set by observer, and you can use this observer from everywhere you want. For example, if you are updating your product, your that particular product from API, or if you are using any third party, if you are giving your API to any third party app which will update your product eventually, the log will be there. You don't need to rewrite the code to set the log. So what I did is before updating product, I stored image that I was doing on controller. And after the product is updated, then I checked if the price is dirty. That means if the price has really changed. Then I created price log here with original price. For, to do this, I was previously storing, I was storing the original price on one of the variables, temporary variables, and setting it back. But I don't need to do this now. And I'm also doing product log create here. So every log is being handled after product update. Another thing, I'm dispatching one job, Laravel jobs. If you are not familiar, go to Laravel documentation, Laravel queues. You will get to know all of this. So what I previously did is I fetched admins, one of the admin, and tried to send mail. But now I'm just dispatching job which will do the job, which will do the exactly same thing for us. What it will do is it will try to find an admin. If there is admin, it will try to notify the admin. I know the admin is user object, so user has used notifiable trait, so we can send notifications to them. So what I did is I just sent them notification. So I created one notification, product update notification, here another file. So what this class is actually doing, what this is doing is exactly the same that I did to send the email. This is sending mail message. I'm sending this notification via mail only. This is sending mail message to the admin with the product that we just updated and with this particular view. Doing that, I made sure I have preserved all the functionalities that were there previously, and they are still there in 3 lines of code. Previously, it was around 50 to 70, right? So I ended up with lots of files, but trust me, this is maintainable. If you want to change something related to something to mail, if you want to change, if you want to uh, send mail to not only to admins, to managers as well, you don't need to do, you can just go to this job and you can simply optimize this query and you will be done with your task. So this code is maintainable. This is readable as well. As a Laravel developer, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. If I see this, I will know this is outbound binding. If I see this, okay, I can guess at least there are some validation rule. So I'm updating things and I'm dispatching job. So this way, we made our code very elegant, and it is, I think, very simple to understand as well. So do you have still any questions? If yes, the floor is open for Q&A. This was one of the examples of resourceful controller, but you can use this logic everywhere you want, wherever feasible, wherever possible, to make your code elegant.
Okay, so can I have a question here?
Yeah, sure.
When doing the observer pattern, the code
Mhm,
actually hides. We don't really know that it's utilizing the observer from here. And it's the
mhm.
same case with the events for as well. So I try
Yeah, true.
to kind of minimize the use. If you have to do it without using observer, how would you have done it?
So as a
Uh,
Laravel
and,
developer,
and I'm sorry, can I add one?
yes,
For
yes.
for things like out of business logics, like for auditing and all those things, I prefer it because that doesn't affect in most cases, right? But for the business logic, that's what I try to go away from observers.
So what I can suggest you is, as a Laravel developer, we know what we know is this app service provider is one thing that will load on very first, right? After we are loading the service provider, so we can simply, if you see this, you can guess, okay, there is observer which is being observed by product model. So you can check the function if you are experienced Laravel developer. If you're a starter, then you can simply, in a controller, you can create a product, a class, a helper class, for example, product service or product helper, and you can write your logics there. So just make sure your function on that particular class is doing one job only. If if you create function to store logs, then it must be storing logs only. So this way you can achieve. This is totally subjective. This is one of the examples that I used to follow. I still follow this pattern, but there is no hard and fast rule that you must follow this pattern in order to make your code maintainable. It's totally up to you. Just make sure your code is better than before.
All right, thanks.
Any more of us have any questions? Because I believe Jeevan sir has, given us knowledge about a lot of different topics, like how to write clean and maintainable code, how it is mandate for every sectors and every languages, and how a code should be dry, concise, and not scary, how one function should perform a specific action, how refactoring is revisiting the code and then cleaning it back, and how we also saw a demo on how to concise the code and control our LOC, and how to optimize our code. So I guess all of us are ready to be a clean code advocate, are we?